the Alert Now phone system, and also we now have an email system in place at the high school where we have better than 2/3 of the families signed on. And I sent an email to parents this afternoon reminding them about the final examination schedule starting on Wednesday. It's been very handy. It's been the feedback on it has been very positive. I think it's been a very effective communication tool. And that has been a goal. Communication with families has been a goal of the school council since I've been here. It's something that each year we've been able to add something in that area. One year it was the Parent Association newsletter. So it's things like that that I think help us to get the word out as to what are the goings on of the high school, so to speak. I won't spend too much time, but I do want to mention, because you had a presentation back a couple of meetings ago by students of our newly formed Student Leadership Academy, but that is highlighted in the progress report because we enjoy, as you know, parental support of that program through fundraising efforts, and I think it's important to note that that program we are expecting to breed a lot more in the way of helping. I think the primary focus, as you all know from the presentation that was made to you when you were at your meeting was held at the high school, we're looking to help students transition from grade 8 to grade 9. And there are a lot of good things that are planned for the future, the next couple of months, to help families adjust from the middle school environment to the high school environment. Additionally, under the heading of social programs, along with the Student Leadership Academy, we've had several guest speakers in to speak with students and parents. Some of the topics that they've spoken about have been bullying, awareness of drug use, and how to recognize behaviors and things of that nature so that we can be better at helping students and families, computer internet safety, and sad to say as it is, but we always like to do some programs around the dangers of drinking alcohol and driving, particularly in the spring when we have our proms scheduled. So we did have several programs around that subject as well, and I think it's good that we do that. And again, the school council is very supportive of those. So that's essentially our progress report. And then, as has been the case, this now being the third time, I'm presenting to you for your acceptance tonight our school improvement plan, which, as you know, has been a 2-year plan. So essentially what you have is an update of the second of the 2 years of last year's plan, and now we're going ahead to 08-09. So this is essentially the 2007, 2008, and 2008-2009 school improvement plan. And not to belabor the point, but as you know, we like to do this. It was Mrs. Colella's idea back a few years ago that we do this so that we can lay out for you some of the things that we see coming down the road, so to speak, and hopefully get your support and the community's support for those initiatives. We have not veered too much from our goals. They remain advocating for space needs and facility improvements, additional resources to support programs, additional staffing to both add programs and to reduce class sizes, supporting professional development for the staff, and also improving school safety, and those are all things that we have had a hand in this year. So what we did this year, again, was we invited all of the curriculum department chair people in. We spread them out over a series of maybe 6 or 7 meetings and had 2 or 3 at each meeting. And we heard from them, as well as the Director of Curriculum and Technology, the Director of Buildings and Grounds, and Director of Pupil Personnel Services. And all of those folks presented to us what they saw as their needs for their respective departments. So we've gone through and we've updated those. We have made notes where things were realized that we were able to remove as a result of the last year's efforts, and we're looking ahead to fiscal year 2009 already, and noting some of the things that we think we are going to need to continue down the road of improvement of the high school. So with all of that said, I'm going to, Mrs. Colella, do you have something you want to add? Okay, you do.
I do. One of the comments that was made earlier in the evening, actually during public input, talking about NEASC and the accreditation of North Reading High School, and the lack of curriculum department chairs in the upcoming school years due to the failure of the override. And I'd just like to, on page 10, there's a C, staffing. And it talks about identified factors contributing to the need for an increase in teaching staff at the high school, including enrollment, expansion of academic programs, compliance with mandates of ed reform. And we purposely left in there, the school council endorses the following staff additions: 7 teachers for the 2007-2008 school year, 2 for the 2008-2009 school year. As budget preparation for fiscal 2009, the school council will provide the principal with additional input as to the evolving need for staffing requirements. And then, not more importantly, equally important, it is recognized that the lack of curriculum department chairpersons in the visual arts, musical, theater arts has had a negative impact on the educational program. The school council supports the addition of a position of curriculum oversight in all academic departments whose responsibilities would be similar to those of a curriculum department chairperson. We purposely left these paragraphs of staffing, in particular, along with the rest of the report in, because we wanted to make the point that just because the override failed does not mean that these things are still not needed. These are needs, these are not wants, as some have put forward. But, going past that, as you well know, and as John has stated, this is the 3rd year that we've put forward a 2-year school improvement plan that takes us out to the following fiscal year. And the purpose for us doing that, and while I was sitting on the school committee, it was kind of like we were always reading the school improvement plans, and they were kind of all after the fact as far as budgetary requirements were concerned. And that was something that, going to the high school council after leaving the school committee, that became very, very important to me. And I think that going forward, that the multi-year plan puts a lot of information in your hands as to what the high school council is thinking and looking at for the future. And it's a very dynamic document in that we continue to not just add a year every year. We continue to look at it and change it. And as John said, look at what we've accomplished and fine tune as we go along, not only the current year, but the following year, and keep looking ahead. And my opinion, and I believe that all 5 of the school councils in the district should be working on multi-year plans. With the failure of the override, the school committee has much work to do in the coming months, in the coming year, to educate the entire North Reading community in preparing for the FY09 budget season. I don't see how you cannot go forward for another override next year. And I think that the councils need to be much more visible and much more in a partnership with the school committee in those budget education processes. So there's another level of, where is the information that the school committee is dealing with? Where is it coming from? I know you just don't sit at that table and make it up as you go along. This is one document that shows that it's a bottom-up process. And I think that we need to have all 5 of the councils involved and have these documents be much more public going forward. And as I've offered in the past, I'd be more than happy to play a role in facilitating. I know it's easy to say, do a multi-year plan, but once you do it the first time, you just keep rolling and rolling and rolling into it. And I think that, that's all I have to say tonight.
I just wanted to quickly, and then I'll get to Steve. I wanted to comment on this. This is where, last Tuesday's vote started to hit home with me, because when I read things like, you know, we really don't have enough classes in the visual arts department, and students who desire to apply for college programs in the visual arts may be impacted. We talk about curriculum leadership in, you know, the visual arts and the music theater. Well, we're not going to have curriculum leadership anywhere next year. We'll have curriculum leadership, we won't have chairs. I read about, you know, all the textbooks that we need next year. I don't know if we're going to be buying any of those textbooks. I read about additional staffing to support increasing enrollment to maintain a 1:24 teacher-student ratio as recommended by NEASC in our labs. I don't think we're going to be able to achieve that next year. In fact, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to achieve that. I know we didn't achieve it this year. I read about you know, foreign languages and increasing the levels and the number of programs, and coordinating with 7th and 8th grade foreign language. I don't know what we're going to have for 7th and 8th grade foreign language programs next year. So Mrs. Queller is right. If you want to start seeing the impact of the vote on Tuesday, take a look at the high school council improvement plan. We're not going to be able to do most of the things that they recommended here. Not that we do all of them, but a lot of them make sense. And this is, if you read through this, it starts to hit home what we're not going to be able to accomplish next year, and you know, hopefully only next year.
And as I said, these are the nuts and bolts needs of North Reading High School. These are not wants. It's not that we just want to have 24 students in an AP biology lab. It's a federal standard. It's a safety standard. And when you're instructing, when we're preparing North Reading High School students to go forward into college, this is serious business. And when you have 26, 27 students in a lab that only has 24 stations, you know, something's going to be missing. Or when you have 31 students in a calculus class, there's some individual attention there that it's missing. And that is strictly a needs document. Well, if we put together a want document, you know, have to bring it in on a dolly.
Right. Any questions for the high school, Mr. Drew?
Well, actually, I've said some of this before in previous years. I want to commend you for the multi-year plan, and not to put too much on your plate. We're now in the position as a committee of having to maintain a 3-year budget, and if we were looking at next year's budget, only one of these 2 years would be part of that 3-year plan. So if you had the ability, time, inclination to extend this to a 3 or even 4-year plan, it would be beneficial to the school committee. I'm not trying to overload you.
I think we could do that.
We've discussed it.
I think we could. We could certainly work toward that for September, when we convene in October, actually, our first meeting.
The multi-year plan is actually more important at the high school than anywhere else in the system.
I think we could do that.
And I think you all understand why.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
But
Oh, absolutely.
and I think it would be tremendously helpful to the school committee. And the fact that you went to a 2-year plan has already been helpful. So thank you.
I think you can count on our working toward that next year. I think we can do that.
Any other questions? Seeing none, before you, I'd like to commend Mr. Renard, Mr. Rosmerick, their staff, and the students and the administration for a flawless graduation ceremony Friday night. It was just tremendous.
Thank you.
Couldn't have had better weather. The speeches
We
were
enjoyed it.
excellent.
The weather you provided was wonderful. We don't expect that every
We
year.
worked extra hard on that.
David made his speech shorter this year.
Yeah, I mean.
And that should be commended too.
Exactly. It was. You get it from Mr. Venezia, who couldn't make graduation this Friday. So, but it was a great ceremony. Well, thank you for the plan.
Actually, could I say
yes,
one more word on that? 'Cause as I listen to the kids and the things that the essayists had to say, and as I listen to the goals that the representatives, the student representatives to our committee have put together, I think that the service requirements within the schools are making a tremendous difference in student awareness of one another and the needs and the community building